it wasn't that the South was full of slaves, because the South was not full of slaves. The only people who had slaves in the South were black people. And the first guy that was ever taken into court, he was a black person. But the slave crap, though, is the same thing as a servant. Slave and servant are the same fucking thing. We left England from Ireland, Germany, to get away from their fucking slavery. They were calling us servants. Okay, the same thing, the blacks left, or what were known as Africans. Some were actually not even African at all, like Blackfoot. I mean, not Blackfoot. Shit. Muskogee. Tuskegee, Muskogee. 20,000 years here in America as a Native American. Muskogee. And that's in Tuskegee, Alabama. They were never African, but even the Tuskegee airmen were called African American. They weren't fucking African American. They were just black Native American. You know, they were Negro. That's the correct term, Negro. Why people's ignorance and slurs, though, get out of that? You know, the word is Negro. It's not the other words. The word is Negro. You know. Just like if you say, well, I'm white. You don't really know what you're saying there, but, you know, my name actually does, it's kind of the older version of the name white. So, you know, it's kind of ironic that you say that, but my name means Watchers. But, you know, to say, well, where you're from. Look, everybody should get past where you're from. Because if you want to go where you're from, I'm from here. I'm from America. I'm not a fucking immigrant anywhere. Nobody in my family is an immigrant. No one. Before it was ever American, we were American. Yeah. And there is no entitled either, because, you know, until they should have come up with a third generation Heritage Act by now anyway. You should be required to be at least a third generation American citizen for you to hold a public office, from mayor up to president. If you can't be that, then you're allowing domestic terrorists like Ilhan Omar and what was her name, Tolbin, or whatever her fucking name was, that AOC times 3 committee. You're allowing for all that shit to happen. If not, at least being a third generation American, that says at least your family has enough investment here to say, or at least they had a heat here, you know what death is like here. You know, for one thing, to be a government entity, you should actually know what it has to do with burial policies, things like that. You should be aware of that, because that's a big entity of why we need police officers, for one. And to say, well, okay, we overlooked that. You know, a lot of people overlook that's predominantly why there are police. That's why you can never get rid of the police officer. And when you say shit like defund the police, to me, you're being anti-American. You know, because, I mean, a lot of people could basically say, well, look, common sense to tell you not to be going 100 miles an hour in a place that's marked 35. And still, fate will catch your ass even if they don't. But when it comes to death, though, families cannot handle it alone. And that's where you can never get rid of police officers. Because even though people are like, well, that's the Morris job. No, it's not. First and foremost, it isn't. Because one thing, if it is murder, or it is manslaughter, or it is just an accident, but even if it's not, even if it's just people who passed away from old age, there still should be police officers that oversee that. And nothing else, because people are not strong enough to bury their own family. It'll take them too. But it goes into a lot, man. We got to use ethics. If we can't use ethics, then we have nothing. And all this bullshit that people have conjured up to say, okay, let's create a version and steal the money. We got to get out of that shit. In fact, the money really isn't worth it. It's the point of material that is worth it. We need to be able to use our resources, and I don't mean what's going to give us food stamps. I mean, we need to be able to grow our crops. We shouldn't have to go buy a fucking paper that says we can grow crops. We should be able to do it without somebody having to sign off on it. Because all that shit, that communist bullshit needs to go. All that communist red tape needs to go. We shouldn't have to have a building permit for everything that we decide to build, because ultimately it's going to crash or fall, even if it's got a building permit, if somebody doesn't put the shit in right. Even the building inspector decides to choose to look the damn other way on it, which I think they should be responsible for a wrongful death lawsuit or something along those lines, they should be sued. Guaranteed they should be sued. If they've signed off on a building, they'll fail. But to say, okay, well, that's why we have these safeguards and it would be 10 times worse without them, I don't believe that shit. Because if you quit paying people to do nothing and start paying the people who's making the material more, and then come up with more machines that work for those people that will do the work, instead of giving away to people commit destructive shit with. Like, for one thing, if all these drones that were sent to Zelensky only cost $30,000 a piece, and you've already given him $4 trillion fucking dollars, it is not no 300 billion, it is not no 65 billion, it's not no this 400 million bullshit. No, you gave him $4 trillion fucking dollars. Between United Nations and America is $4 trillion. We have $1.2 trillion invested in Ukraine right now from our U.S. government. There's nothing that son of a bitch has got to offer his entire fucking life that is worth that payment. Because even if you're saying, well, we got to make sure that he keeps his border. No, the fuck we don't. In fact, it's breaking our back just to pay for the shit as it is. It's killing us to do it. We should be buying the machines to make our homeless people shelter, instead of paying Zelensky to break it. The man only exported sunflower seeds before this fucking war started. That's enough to say, why the fuck are we working for Ukraine? Why are we trying to make an emperor out of Zelensky? He has lied so many times. He even attacked Poland, so if you're 100% behind NATO, you 99%ed it over him. He's walking around with a signal of a satanic union on his shirt. It's from Russ, 1600s. Look up that symbol, you will find it. They were against the Christians. You are a Christian yourself there. Why are you embracing the Antichrist symbol? I can't get behind it just because of that reason. I'm not going to support the devil willingly. And look, if we were going to defend any nation besides Taiwan, besides Zelensky, besides Bosnia, why not Hong Kong? For American Lives Matter, I am for ethics. I am B-Man Wild.